the sides of the...
Honorable members, I think we shall be able to accommodate as many members as possible. Although you are entitled to 10 minutes, you take as little as 5 or 3 minutes. I'm not telling you have the option to do that and take all the 10 minutes, but I think you will accommodate. We shall be in a position to accommodate many members of parliament on this very important debate on the budget. The Honorable Rasso Dido. Let's give him the mic.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I stand to support this budget, and I want to congratulate the formidable chair of the Budget and Appropriation Committee and the committee members. Honorable Speaker, this is the largest committee members in one committee. And for that reason, I think their purview of what they do or what is there in the budget in terms of equity, in terms of the spread of the budget, in terms of budget coverage, must be the best, and they must be on the spot in what they are doing. Honorable Speaker, I want to first start with the issue of security. Security is the anchor around which a government or a state exists. It is that instrument that allows the development within a country, because in the absence of security, then a lot of these good things we talk about will not be there. In this, I'm talking about the National Police Service, the Kenya Defense Forces, the Correctional Service, and the national government administrative officers in the field. These people perform the best for us. For this House to be able to sit today in the afternoon to discuss the budget is because this country is secure. For us to be on the roads, in the schools, in many places doing development or chores in our homes is because there is security. For that reason, we must continuously improve in their working environment, in their welfare and motivation to do the best in wherever they are working. Through modernization, that they must have the best equipment to be able to carry out their duties. In this, I'm talking about mobility, that there must be enough vehicles, enough protective vehicles, such as the APCs, and also firepower and force protection, that the individual that we send out in the field, that policeman who is chasing robbers down the alley, must be protected enough for him or her to feel secure. Honorable Speaker, in this, it is paramount that we must continuously build the human capacity of all these institutions so that the best are out there to serve this country when we are doing other things. Honorable Speaker, we must also invest in technology so that Kenya and Kenyans see that we are moving beyond the 21st century, because the world is about technology. It is through technology that we use what you call economy of effort, that we are using a few policemen when we can use hundreds, a few boots on the ground in KDF when we have one or two aircraft, or sophisticated equipment that reduces the dependence on manpower. Honorable Speaker, education is the single most equalizer. Honorable Mreu raised a very pertinent issue of feeding in the schools. I think in ASAL, those of us from the ASAL, if there's no feeding program, then majority of our learners will not be able to attend the school. And if we are going to say, let us spread that across the country, it is a welcome thing. But for us to say, let us share what is there, it simply means you are going to disadvantage those who are already so much disadvantaged that this is the basic thing that they get to be able to go to school. And as members from the ASAL or the pastoralist, we are not going to say that the children in Muranga or Gatanga, for that matter, are not qualified to be entitled to this. But we are saying, let it come at the right time. Because the issue of NACONEC, many members before us really fought to have NACONEC in place. And as we sit here today, NACONEC is still not at the right place we want, because it is not well funded, it is not well focused, and there are too many interests that are still pulling NACONEC down. Because we have said NACONEC must have a council that is able to focus its activities. Honorable Speaker, in this budget, I see the issue of continuity, the issue of collaboration, and the issue of saving. For the first time, our budget has come down from 3 trillion or 4 trillion to just 2.3 trillion. This is indicative that let us cut our cloth according to our size, because we cannot spend money that we do not have. If you are going to raise the budget ceiling to 3 trillion or 4 trillion, it means we are going to tax Kenyans to the bone. Already Kenyans are talking about taxation. But for this particular instance, I want to thank the government, the president for that matter, for making sure that we don't spend or we look for money that we do not have. On the same, what is indicative of this is that we are going to spend our money. We are not going to borrow for the budget. The problem today is this country is heavily burdened. Most of our money goes to paying debts. How long are we going to pay debts? And yet we are growing our budget when the economy does not have that capacity to achieve that. Honorable Speaker, the idea of grassroots development, bottom-up economic development, when you are going to put more money in CDF, when you are going to put more money in electricity, in rural infrastructure, in Kera, it means that we are looking at those areas, those enclaves that are normally disadvantaged or nobody is looking at them. So for that reason, I think as members of this House, particularly as members of single constituency, I think the onus is on us for prudent use of those resources at the grassroots. Honorable Speaker, in youth affairs and creative economy, I think this is the elephant in the room. A country that has 60% of its population, or going to 70%, that they are youth. Then we must look at it in an economic sense. What do we do with youth? What amount of resources should we put in that energy? Yes, most of the youth are in education, but there's majority that is not in education. Those that are out there who are hustling. During this budget, we are looking at youth empowerment services, youth development services. In context, looking at what resources has been put there, I think we must scratch our heads to say that, can we put more in youth so that they are able to be productive? Because 60% of our population is really not a joke. Honorable Speaker, finally, I want to talk about the livestock economy. Livestock contributes 8% to the GDP. And until this government, not much has been talked about livestock. And yet, 2/3 or 3/4 of this country is livestock producing area. So with those remarks, I beg to support.
The Honorable Catherine Omanyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am indeed immensely impressed with the budget because it has cut across every sector that is touching all Kenyans' lives. Looking into various departments, I have seen like devolved function, the county level. If all that has been channeled there will actually work, every county will have or must have a running industry or factory. If we have that, the jobless youths that are 60% of this nation will be doing something for their livelihood, and that will improve the standards of living of this nation. Looking at the health, agriculture, I'm saying markets, roads, electricity, education. For example, if the markets will start being put in places where there is no electricity, then it should go like a complementary. When the markets are being installed or constructed, then electricity must be installed in the same area, running water at the same time, and toilets. Because most markets in the rural areas, they suffer lacking these basic needs. Like after 6, everybody has to go, or they use lamps or candles to continue selling their products. On the agriculture side, I think this time they have thought well. I'm hoping that we'll have even extension officers at the grassroots so that we don't have a problem like what we have witnessed this year, which has never happened since independence, of these issues of fake fertilizer and other miscalculated moves. I have also looked into the roads. The budget is good, but I hope that some MPs will not be living for the estimate of others when it comes to sharing. Let us not hear that other MPs were allocated more roads than others. I hope equality and equity will be in play, and Kenya will continue growing together, because if we only have cities or towns that attract and not the rural areas, then it means that we will have other areas congested, and yet we should be thinking of decongesting the cities or towns. So I just wanted to congratulate the budget committee and every other person who participated, including the wananchi themselves, because public participation was done. And my prayer is every dime, every shilling that will be given, may it do what it's supposed to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Khair Harun.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to submit some of my comments towards the ongoing debate on the floor, which is budget estimates of this financial year. And I've been keen to see some areas that have been prioritized, which I highly support. But I would like to also submit a few comments so that maybe we can also guide the budgets better before we pass this to be effective. The first issue of concern to me is immunization, which has a budget cut from 9.4 billion to 7.4. And this is a crucial matter to every Kenyan in this country because as a young mother, I took my child for vaccinations just last week. And Mr. Speaker, I had to visit 3 hospitals, private clinics, before I could get vaccinations for my child, who's just 3 months. And I could imagine what other mothers in rural areas and some remote areas are facing because every government facility must provide free vaccinations for every mother. This is a maternal care issue. But if such a crucial department is considered to have a budget cut, then we are going against the fundamental issues of being humane, and we are not really considering the people that we represent. So that is of concern to me. Number 2 is the Linda Mama program, which has also been supporting mothers across the country, which is also facing a budget cut. The critical issues that we cannot touch on, anything to do with health, our children, the future of our children, vaccinations. We are going back 10 years, 20 years as a country if we are not giving vaccinations to children, because polio has been a big campaign. Ever since I was born, I've been hearing kick polio out of Kenya. But if children are not getting polio vaccines, because I couldn't get rotavirus vaccine for my child, and I am privileged enough to access private health care. But these are mothers who cannot get this. So for me, this is not an issue that I can sit and watch. I have to address this, and I would definitely count on the support of every member, because this is a matter that touches on all of us. As a youth representative of this House as well, the youth fund has also been removed. We are telling young Kenyans to come and get employment, Finya computer programs, but we are not allocating funds for them to get support. So I understand this is something that we have to address. The youth fund must be supported so that young Kenyans can get more jobs and can continue supporting the gig and the creative economy. Another issue is also the internet taxes that we've seen, because every Kenyan is able to buy data from wherever they are. We have the Jitume program, which is something that even our committee, the ICT committee that I sit, is campaigning big on. And this is a presidential agenda that we want to support. But if internet faces more taxation, Kenyans will not be able to even buy the data or afford this data so that they're able to get online employment or the digital programs, the gig economy, and all these things that we keep talking about. We have to put money where our mouth is. And finally, there is an 85 billion reduction that we've been hearing, but where is this money being reduced from? It's being reduced from health, education, agriculture, critical issues that are the backbone of our country. So if money has to be reduced, let it come from elsewhere. Let us save from elsewhere. But money is on education, money is on health, money is on environment. Should not be touched on, because we even need to put more money there, not remove it. So these are my general comments. Of course, we'll be able to support it with amendments, but those are the pointers that I would have wanted to raise. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
The Honorable Kawanjiku.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take this opportunity also to support the Budget and Appropriation Committee for doing a good job, and more so to the Chair Budget, Honorable Nyoro. I'm also a member of the Budget Committee, and I know how tiresome it was to make sure that we have aligned things as per the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, this budget has been a good budget because we look at a number of issues that probably affect the common mwananchi, the people from different parts of our country, we tried as much as we can to balance and make sure that there is equity in terms of distribution of the national resources of what we have as a country and what we have as a government.